of Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 by Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, one would have anticipated a swift response from retired General Chiwenga or the proxies of retired General Chiwenga. But what has been happening is that Chiwenga, as well as his proxies, and when I say the proxies of retired General Chiwenga, I'm speaking about Knox Chivero, I'm speaking about also retired Air Marshal Muchena, as well as other war veterans. One would have expected them to immediately respond to Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. But what we have noticed, we have seen Zimbabweans reporting the news, some analyzing the news, and some making the judgments on this matter. We've seen opposition political parties reacting and Zimbabweans reacting, some making their own assessment. We've seen Zwikananda celebrating. I saw Wicknell Chivayo singing the song of celebration. We've seen also the Ministry of Information and Publicity in Zimbabwe actually issuing a celebratory statement, and we expect more of these. And we've seen the state media writing a headline, CAB.3 a done deal, following the signing of Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. But retired General Chiwenga has remained silent. You know, in communication, we say silence cannot just be treated as silence, but silence is communication. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, Ihloniphani Global News. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So one would have expected, as I have said, retired General Chiwenga through his proxies, such as Marshal Muchena, as well as also through Knox Chivero and others, such as raw veterans, such as Ruben Zulu, Ethan Matibela. What we have noticed since the announcement of the signing of the illegal Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026, we have also only noticed celebration, cautious celebration from the faction of Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. We saw the speech from Barakashi giving an impression that CAB.3 is now a done and dusted matter. But is that so? Remember, what is at play within ZANU-PF as a political institution at the moment is the succession matter. Can succession in ZANU-PF be solved through a ballpoint and a paper? If ever that is the case, it would be the first in the history of ZANU-PF. Never has the paper as well as the ballpoint resolved the issues of succession in ZANU-PF since its formation. If Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa gets away with this, then he would have made history within ZANU-PF. Now we are noticing retired Air Marshal Muchena, he hasn't said anything ever since the announcement of CAB.3, as well as other fellow retired military generals. They have said nothing. Knox Chivero has said nothing. We would have expected some action today. But does this symbolize a sign of weakness? I don't think so. This is not a sign of weakness. As I started when I started this live broadcast, I said silence in communication is also counted as a method of communication. A message through silence is being sent to Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. We have not seen retired General Chiwenga congratulating Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa on signing CAB.3. And this, by the way, we saw the announcement. We never actually saw a ceremony of some sort attended by, under normal circumstances, if a president is signing such a significant policy change or policy direction in Zimbabwe, you would have expected him to be flanked by all his vice presidents, as well as also the ministers of him. But we have not seen that. The only event that we saw today, Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa undertaking, was opening the so-called junior parliament, where the president of that parliament, a young man that is used by ZANU-PF, supporting, but we know that that is actually using children, and his voice means nothing to the people of Zimbabwe. And Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa wasting his day. He's a president absolutely with nothing to do, especially if you look at the program that he was doing today. That is why I didn't have time actually to speak about that nonsense, because serious presidents, you will never see them undertaking such stupid and idiotic programs. They are serious about addressing the pressing needs of their people. So I think, in my view, expecting this time around Knox Chivero coming to speak a story and tell us what has happened, I think everyone knows what has happened. And the last time he came through, he gave a warning. Similarly, so when also Air Marshal Muchena came through last time, he gave warning and also went a step further and said those who have aided the illegal constitutional amendment bill number 3 of 2026 will face consequences, advising them not to participate in the process that will benefit an individual in Zimbabwe and benefiting unconstitutional, warning that there would be consequences at the end of the day. I think, as military generals, they don't have to keep on emphasizing that same message over and over. I think what we are waiting at the moment is an action to be carried out by them to really demonstrate that consequences are on their way, or consequences will actually be effected. I think that is what us as the people of Zimbabwe expects. Of course, I've seen people saying, I don't think these people have got a plan. If they did not have a plan, Mnangagwa would not have delayed implementing this bill. Mnangagwa would have actually implemented this bill long time ago. Mnangagwa would not have gone after the military and made the reshuffles that he is doing. Mnangagwa would not be going after senior military personnel as well as war veterans. Mnangagwa would not be actually grandstanding in a manner he is actually doing if these people were not powerful. He understands that they are powerful. The thing is that they have done so much diplomacy, and they have to do so because at the end of the day, fighting has to be the last resort. You have seen even countries with much arsenal when it comes to fighting, spending some week, like the United States of America, spending some weeks trying to give a chance to dialogue, because a good leader will always, at all times, try to advance dialogue rather than violence, because violence should always be the last option. And I think that is what the retired military generals in Zimbabwe have tried to show to Emerson Mnangagwa. And Mnangagwa is not a diplomat. Mnangagwa does not understand the language of diplomacy. He has demonstrated beyond a reasonable doubt. And remember, by the way, when they do so, it's not just in the interest of Mnangagwa. It is also in the interest of Zimbabweans. People expect action. An action where bullets moves around, are fired around. It means innocent civilians may actually be at the receiving end more than actually the intended targets. And I hope when you see delayed response, these are things that are weighed on by the retired military generals before any meaningful action could be taken. But I can tell you, their silence is not a demonstration of weakness. If you take their silence as a demonstration of weakness, then you don't understand politics. Silence may be strength, and sometimes speaking loud may be weakness. We've seen this movie playing out before. We've seen the retired military generals and the war veterans disrespected before, but it ended in tears, especially when they began to show their strength, and they did so very professionally, and people realized how powerless and how meaningless the regime of Robert Gabriel Mugabe was without the military backup. That's why I keep on underscoring that if Emerson Mnangagwa gets away with this, it will be for the very first time a civilian president use civilian tactics within ZANU-PF to actually prolong his stay in power and fight against the opponents, even though the deep state has actually signaled that he has overstayed his welcome. The deep state have spoken loud and clear. I don't think at this moment it is the time for speaking. It is the time for action at this moment. And I'm sure they are most probably weighing those options. And also, by the way, you would understand that Emerson Mnangagwa had prepared for this moment. He is ready to fight. He is ready to actually fight and most probably win. And those who fight against him, they should also be equally prepared to counter him. And also they are looking for nothing else but a win. So the situation is not as simple as actually typing on social media. It has to be well planned, well calculated. I remember in 2017 when we heard the news that Robert Gabriel Mugabe was going, the tanks were rolled in the streets of Harare. A lot of people couldn't believe it because the news of a planned coup started surfacing long time back. It was read in the newspapers, it was circulated online, but people never actually paid attention on them. So this process, it's a really a complicated and a complex process. You cannot give it days. You cannot also give it time. The mere fact that they are quiet, they have said nothing, is not a show of weakness. And I can tell you it is giving Emerson Mnangagwa sleepless nights. It's easier to deal with the enemy who speaks and shows you clues and show you emotions and show you the feeling, because you would prepare yourself. But someone who just decides to bluetick you, keep quiet, never issue a statement, says nothing, that is the most dangerous person. And Emerson Mnangagwa, as well as his allies, they understand this. That is why they can't celebrate as loud as possible. It's only for stupid Ugandans like Wicknell Chivayo. Otherwise, some sane individuals within ZANU-PF sense that this moment is not an ordinary moment. It is an extraordinary moment in the history of Zimbabwe. We are still putting our ears and our eyes across as events unfold in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Okanqobu Mhlabane is signing out. Let me love and leave you. Let's meet on the other side of the live broadcast, definitely, as I unpack these and more. Salute.